What if stopping, slowing down, or pulling back isn't failure? What if it isn't weakness? And what if it isn't a lack of discipline? What if it's information? In today's episode of Cut to the Chase at 8, we're unpacking why so many of us stop showing up for ourselves. Not because we don't care, but because our bodies, minds, and spirits are overwhelmed, overstimulated, and unheard. We'll explore what's really happening beneath burnout, inconsistency, and exhaustion, and what we actually need to begin again with grace. So take a breath, settle in, and let's get into it. Hey y'all, I'm Madison Simone Chase, also known as Miss Chase, raised by an incredible single mom who is my biggest fan and my best friend, my BFF for real. I'm a celebrity certified personal trainer, fitness and wellness expert, and sports and entertainment media host. Born in Fort Worth, raised in Dallas, and built in Los Angeles. I trained at Juilliard with the School of American Ballet, becoming the world's only three-time ESPN Miss Fitness champion, appearing in over 450 fitness DVDs. The first of those DVDs was led by celebrity trainer Gunnar Peterson, known for training the Kardashian family. As a certified celebrity personal trainer myself, I've worked with Robert Pattinson of Twilight and Batman, Chris Tucker of Rush Hour, Amber Riley of Glee, Dancing with the Stars, and The Masked Singer champion. And as a sports and entertainment media host, I've had the joy of interviewing Richard Branson, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Tyler Perry, Tiana Taylor, Justin Baldoni, and Issa Rae. And I share my story to honor the millions of sacrifices my mom planted so that I could blossom into the woman I'm still becoming. So, wherever you're listening from, pull up a digital chair, grab some hot or cold herbal tea, and welcome to my cozy home of Cut to the Chase at 8, a 15-minute micro-learning moment for macro living. And I am so overjoyed that you are here because this is where we explore life, spirit, mind, and body through lived experience and intentional growth. So join me daily for just 15 minutes, that's it, twice a day at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, because this is your daily pause for a cause, for clarity, for wellness, for allowing grace in this space, and for intentional decision making. Each episode, my offer to you is 3 keys and 1 reflection question. Something practical, grounded, and something you could carry with you. So, let's take a breath together. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready. Let's get set. And let's grow. All right, we are settled in wherever you are listening from right now. If you're driving, walking, cooking, resting, working out, or just pausing, let's allow this space to be a soft landing place. Okay, I like to start with a question. So here's today's opening question. What if stopping isn't quitting, but communication? So many of us stop showing up for ourselves and immediately assign meaning to it. We say, I fell off, I couldn't stay consistent, I didn't have the discipline, I just couldn't push through. But what if stopping isn't a character flaw? What if it's just data? Why we stop showing up? Most of us live in environments that reward output, not awareness. We're praised for pushing, for producing, for performing, for enduring, but we're rarely taught how to listen to our bodies, how to recognize emotional overload, how to identify when our nervous system is maxed out. So when our energy drops, when motivation disappears, when showing up for yourself and for your family and friends, when it feels heavy, we blame ourselves instead of asking better questions. Stopping is often a signal. It's not a failure. Our bodies speak long before our minds catch up. Fatigue is communication. Overwhelm is communication. Avoidance is communication. And when we ignore those signals, our system doesn't get quieter, it gets louder. Stopping is often the body saying, I need safety. I need rest. I need regulation. I need support. And when we reframe stopping as information instead of failure, shame loses its grip. My lived experience, pushing past the signals. There were seasons in my life where I could show up for everyone else, talk about their dreams, what they had going on, but barely showed up for myself. I stayed productive at work, not creative. I stayed polished, but empty. I stayed responsible, but not full of joy. But underneath that appearance, I was exhausted. I didn't stop because I didn't care. I stopped because my body was tired of being ignored. It was tired of not working out. It was tired of not moving. And once I listened, instead of judging myself, everything changed. Which leads me to key number 2. Consistency breaks down when safety is missing. Consistency isn't about willpower. It's about capacity. When our nervous system feels unsafe, overwhelmed, or unsupported, follow through becomes difficult. Not because we're incapable, but because we're in survival mode. Survival prioritizes protection, not progress. So before asking, why can't I stay consistent? A better question is, do I feel safe enough to sustain this? My lived experience, redefining what strength looked like. I used to believe strength meant never stopping, but strength is actually knowing when to pause, knowing when to recalibrate, knowing when to choose sustainability over speed, knowing when to honor the season that you're in. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. Which brings me to key number 3. Beginning again requires grace, not pressure. Starting again doesn't require a big start. It requires gentleness, micro steps, small wins, low pressure, clear boundaries that you set for yourself and with other people. Beginning again looks like one walk, one breath, one page, one written journal, one honest check-in with yourself. And grace in that space starts to build momentum, and pressure shuts it down. So let's bring it all together. Stopping doesn't mean you failed. It means something inside of you needed attention. And when you respond with compassion instead of criticism and self-talk and negative self-talk, you don't just start again. You start better. And one reflection question: where in my life have I been judging my pause that was actually asking for care? And what would change if I responded with grace in that space instead? So what does your body feel like if you changed and reframed and shifted how you feel about pausing and judging yourself for your pause? Because awareness is where healing begins. So before you go, I want to say thank you so much. It has truly been an honor for sharing this time with me. And it's an honor to sit with you in this space. So let's quickly revisit today's 3 keys. Key number 1, stopping is often a signal and it's not failure. So what does that mean when we look at key number 1? Because I think in our society we have often, especially with things getting so rapid in terms of technology and things moving so quickly. And if we think about how we use our cell phones hold everything, right? Like you used to have a book with phone numbers and contacts, and you used to remember people's birthdays, and you used to remember important dates. But now your cell phone does that for you. And now your email has become your work email, your personal email. And if you're on social media, your DMs have become the thing how you socialize instead of actually being in someone's presence. And so our bodies speak long before our minds can catch up. And so really fatigue is just your body's way of communicating that it's overwhelmed. And it's really avoidance is part of that communication. So ignoring those signals, because when we ignore those signals, our system doesn't get quieter, it gets louder. And that could be expressed in many things. It could be expressed in your skin and your hair and your nails and your teeth, grinding your teeth. It could be expressed in many different ways. So understanding what is a signal for you, and then how to read your own room, how to read your own personal bedroom, how to read your own personal space. Because reading the room is important when you're in social settings, but reading the room for yourself is also important as well. So if we revisit what key number 2 is, consistency breaks down when safety is missing. Safety. I think often when we think about safety, we think safety is our physical safety, right? And I think most people think, oh, is my door locked before I go to bed? They think about, do I have protection if someone were to ever break in? And we think about protecting our family if you live with a parent or your kids. So you think about safety in that way, but safety is also setting very clear boundaries for yourself. It's also setting very safe boundaries for advocating for yourself and standing up for yourself, which is a learned lesson that I had to understand, that I was not necessarily advocating for myself, because it was a space and time where I essentially grew up with not expressing myself. And so often I would do fight or flight. And most of the time it would be flight and I wouldn't fight, or I wouldn't advocate for myself. And my first session with my therapist, she said, oh, you're aggressive, but not assertive. And she compared the two for me. And I was like, oh, she's right. Because assertive means you tell people in the moment how you feel. And people who are your friends will understand that that is how you feel. So standing and advocating for yourself and your feelings in that moment, whether they're right or wrong, real friends. I saw something interesting on social media, and this young lady said, we're at a grown age, and she looked like she's probably in her 20s or 30s. And she was like, my real friends, we don't fight, we figure it out. And I was like, man, that's such a true point. Real friends, and even family members, they figure it out. And there is no substitution for figuring it out. And I think oftentimes we don't have the tools to figure it out, because we've never been taught that having a disagreement doesn't mean cancel. And key number 3, beginning again requires grace and not pressure. And so starting again doesn't mean you have to have a big start. You could start in micro doses. And the one reflective question, where in your life have you been judging your pause that was actually asking for care? And what would change if you responded with grace instead of judgment? So I am so thankful that you spent this time with me. And I want you to notice, where in your life have you been judging your pause? And so if today's episode offered you clarity, grounding, or a pause for a cause you didn't know you needed, or if anything I shared today pricked your heart or lit a spark, please subscribe and share this with someone you care about. And leave a comment so this isn't a monologue, but a dialogue. And leave a 5-star rating, because it helps this space grow. So let's close with one breath. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. and again at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is Cut to the Chase at 8 with me, Madison Simone Chase. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, grow, and go and be great. Blessing to you and yours until tomorrow.